Rumours swirl about Goldberg possibly signing a new contract with WWE that involves multiple matches at Saudi shows and stadium events throughout the year. Got very latest details on that. Plus, a Hell in a Cell match is reportedly scheduled for the Royal Rumble involving two top Monday Night Raw stars. Cody Rhodes is on the verge of a WWE comeback with the latest details on plans for his return to WWE TV. Triple H reportedly is going to make changes to WWE's call-up system. An update on Mandy Rose's departure from WWE and just how much money are former talents making from exclusive members-only content pages. How many tickets were sold after John Cena was announced for the December 30 episode of SmackDown, and Gunther is on the verge of a major WWE milestone. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE, and we have an update on Goldberg. Yes, Goldberg. Is he going to be coming back to WWE? Is he going to be wrestling more matches? I can already hear the groans and the eye rolls, but there's actually a bit of a rumor killer on the Goldberg contract rumors. There's some word floating around, or there was rumors, social media websites, or social media pages, or speculation that Goldberg may have signed a new contract, but this has been debunked by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. There was word that Goldberg had signed a new WWE contract, but that reportedly is news to people close to him. Last week, rumors circulated that Goldberg had signed a new WWE contract that would see him with a 2-year deal with 5 matches guaranteed and 3 matches to be against new talent that he hasn't already faced. In addition, the report stated that the shows would mainly be Saudi/WrestleMania matches. However, those close to him say not so fast. Specifically, they said, quote, that would be news to his reps that negotiate those kind of deals, end quote. Goldberg's current WWE contract runs through this year, through 2022, but there are no matches remaining on it. There's always a chance he re-signs with the company. However, according to his representatives, that's not the case just yet. So I can already see the people and hear him out there going, phew, no more Goldberg matches. I wouldn't rule it out completely, but the biggest proponent, ironically enough, after years and years of hating each other and Goldberg being a dirty word in WWE and a name and a phrase you don't bring up in WWE, the biggest proponent of having Goldberg wrestle these matches and win these titles was none other than Vince McMahon himself. Vince McMahon was a massive Goldberg fan, particularly since his comeback to the WWE in late 2016 into 2017. Vince McMahon was always the biggest proponent of getting Goldberg to come back. He was, I think, had to maybe be talked in initially to Goldberg to have that feud against Brock Lesnar, and then they thought that it was done, and Goldberg got inducted into the Hall of Fame a year later, and everyone thought, okay, that's Goldberg done. And then he signed a new contract with the company that was his latest one, that was this like 5-year deal, with the company that had him doing multiple matches per year. It was like 2 matches per year. The majority of them were on the Saudi shows, and led to some of, I mean, let's just be completely honest here, some of the worst matches we have seen in WWE history. Do we need to talk about Goldberg versus The Undertaker? Do we need to talk about that? Goldberg versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Goldberg versus Braun Strowman. Now, intersped between there were some okay matches, I suppose, if you call them matches. The Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler match at SummerSlam in 2019 was well done to the extent of, like, it was fine. It was kind of just a case of, that's what I guess Goldberg should do. Come back, beat people in 30 seconds and leave. That's what got him over in the first place. But even then, it's difficult for it to be convincing. I mean, look, he signed a 3-year deal. When was it? 2019? It was 2019. That's when he had the match against The Undertaker and Dolph Ziggler, etc. It was 2019. And the best way to book Goldberg, still to this day, is the way that got him over, is to do those 30-second squash matches, or even if he is in a longer match, it's like 5 minutes. And what is there left for him to offer WWE? I know it's a name, and look, Goldberg, to this day, the one thing you can't argue is he does sell tickets. He sells tickets, and he gets people's attention, whether it's positive or negative attention, he does that. But at this stage in 2022, I know Goldberg wants to do more matches. Goldberg wants to make that money. That's what it's all about. Goldberg has said, I stay in shape, I stay ready, because they might pick up the phone. And at one point, just this past summer, at one point, there was a period of time where it was probably going to be Goldberg versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Remember when Vince McMahon retired, the day that was announced back in July? Vince McMahon retired, Brock Lesnar walked out of WWE, walked out of the SmackDown taping. They weren't sure if Brock was going to come back. And whilst they were convincing him to come back to the company and come back to the taping, there reportedly was some pitches and maybe even a phone call made to Goldberg going, hey, fancy coming in at SummerSlam in a couple of days' time? That was reportedly something that was on the table. Of course, we know it didn't happen. Brock Lesnar did end up working that match, and Brock Lesnar is still working with WWE. The rumor is he's going to be facing Gunther, and we're going to talk about Gunther later on, but he's going to be facing Gunther at WrestleMania. Now, again, have we seen Goldberg have his final match in WWE? Well, I mean, it's a fitting end. His last match was against Roman Reigns this past February at Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia, and it's not a bad way to go out. I mean, again, Goldberg's in his late 50s at this point, mid to late 50s, and it's done. It's done. There's nothing else to do, and frankly, the amount of world titles that guy won is ridiculous. The fact that he was a Universal Champion twice is nuts. I still, I still can't get over the Bray Wyatt thing. That is, to me, I would love to know, and it's kind of one of the shames, isn't it, of Bray Wyatt going back to WWE, is that I don't know if we'll ever truly find out what actually happened that February in Saudi Arabia in 2020 when Goldberg defeated The Fiend in 3 minutes. It's nuts. But I myself, as a fan, as a pro wrestling fan, as a WWE fan, have no desire to see Goldberg back in the ring again. It makes me nervous around WrestleMania season to see him in World Championship matches, and it did under Vince McMahon because you knew that he just couldn't help himself. Triple H, I think it's different with him. I don't think he will see Goldberg as the crutch that Vince did, i.e. let's put the belt on him, we can draw a crowd. I don't think that's the case with Triple H. I wouldn't say Triple H is opposed to having him come back and work, a couple of squash matches, but again, for the money that we're talking, is it even financially viable, even for Saudi shows at this point? There's other legends maybe they should be revisiting. So I don't think we'll see Goldberg wrestle again. But look, anything's certainly possible. This year has told us that. We are not in the position to rule out anything ever again anymore, because 2022's told us you cannot write out anything happening. So whilst I think it's unlikely that Goldberg will come back for more matches with WWE, anything's possible. And as far as other companies, could I see Goldberg at AEW? No, I would be really surprised. But at the same time, look, where was Goldberg created? It was in WCW, and it was on TNT and TBS. TNT for Nitro, TBS for Thunder. Is it out of the realm of possibility he'd come back for one, considering that AEW likes to kind of market themselves as a WCW-esque company, or in the spirit of WCW on TNT and TBS? I wouldn't rule it out. We've seen plenty of former big WCW stars show up on that show, whether it's Sting, Tony Schiavone, or even Eric Bischoff, the former president, has been on TNT. So, DDP had his final match in an AEW ring on TNT. So I don't know. Again, can't run out anything. That's what this year has told us, certainly. That's the big learning point from this year. Let's talk about the Royal Rumble, and a big match reportedly scheduled involves a Hall of Famer and an alter ego of a Raw star inside Hell in a Cell. WWE, of course, has no more premium live events scheduled until the Royal Rumble at the end of January. The company reportedly has the card for the show planned out, including what is being named a, quote, pitch black match. However, the pitch black match, which is reportedly meant to involve Bray Wyatt and LA Knights, won't be the only stipulation match set for the show, per WrestlingNews.co. WWE is reportedly planning a rematch between Finn Balor and Edge for the Royal Rumble. The match is reportedly pitched as Demon Finn Balor taking on Edge in a gimmick match, which is looking to be Hell in a Cell. Of course, Edge has not been seen on WWE television since he lost his I Quit match to Finn Balor back at Extreme Rules. The finish saw Edge quit when Rhea Ripley teased attacking his wife Beth Phoenix with a steel chair before proceeding to do so anyway. Now, the feud between Balor and Edge dates back to June, when Balor usurped Edge as the leader of the Judgment Day, and there had been rumors and murmurings and rumblings that we would see a Hell in a Cell match at the Royal Rumble. Of course, Edge last competed inside Hell in a Cell at the last Hell in a Cell match not to take place at a Hell in a Cell event. Easy for me to say, and that was, of course, at Crown Jewel last year when he faced off against Seth Rollins in Saudi Arabia. And this is kind of, I suppose, what Triple H meant by Hell in a Cell needs to be saved for feuds that it makes sense to have them in. With last year, when Edge faced Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel, it made sense that that match would be a Hell in a Cell match. You had the matches, of course, at SummerSlam, at Madison Square Garden. You'd seen Seth Rollins going to Edge's home. It was personal, and where his family lives, like, it made sense for it to take place inside Hell in a Cell. And it's kind of the same this time, right? Yeah, it was about a faction that was supernatural and it was weird, and Finn Balor came in and he attacked Edge and it was weird and it was sloppy, and Edge came back and they feuded for a bit. But now it's been taken to that personal level whereby the Judgment Day, they attacked his wife. The mother of his children was attacked with a steel chair. It's personal. And Finn Balor forced Edge to say something he's never said in his career. That's, "I quit." So where do you go next? Where's the next step of escalation? The next step of escalation is inside Hell in a Cell, and that's what they're going to do. So for me, that makes a lot of sense. As far as the Demon, it's interesting because the Demon has lost matches before. Of course, he lost to Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules last year in the worst finish of the year, where the top rope just broke. The rope broke. And then that was the end of the match. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that Edge will win, but again, it's about increasing stakes, isn't it? It's about, okay, we get to Hell in a Cell. That's the next level of escalation. I wonder how they get the Demon out of Balor and how that works as a heel. We've never really seen it as a heel before in WWE, and because it's such a elaborate presentation, it's going to be interesting to see how they get Finn Balor to that point, if they tweak it, if it's going to be the sort of black and red Demon that we've seen before in WWE, or if it's going to be something different. It could be a more sort of dark purple sort of Demon, or it could be something a little bit different. I mean, on the indie scene, it was much more nondescript. It's kind of been quite uniform in WWE so far, isn't it? It's been that look, really. It's been the black and red and the body paint, whereas on the indie scene, it was far more elaborate. He cosplayed as sort of comic book characters, the Joker, the Punisher, etc. I don't know if he'd do that or be allowed to do that in WWE, or we're just going to see a different iteration of the Demon. And what that looks like, I think, is really exciting. Ultimately, I would expect Edge to win. I mean, he said, "I quit." I can't see he would lose a Hell in a Cell match to Balor, and then they go in their separate ways, and then this feud is over. I mean, I think they're also building towards a Rhea Ripley versus Beth Phoenix match. Again, when that happens, I'm not sure whether that's Hell in, I mean, just trying to think of the way they'd map it out. I mean, I still suppose they could have still Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and again, it depends when they do it. It depends when they do it. I think you might as well hold off Rhea Ripley versus Beth Phoenix to WrestleMania if you can. Looking at what the other females are going to be doing, it looks like Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, SmackDown, Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair versus, I'm not sure, probably Charlotte Flair, you would think. So Rhea Ripley versus Beth Phoenix, a match they certainly could do, and I hope they do it for possibly for WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes is another name that's on his way back to WWE. An update has emerged on potential plans for Cody Rhodes' return feud after he makes a full recovery from his injury. Of course, Rhodes hasn't wrestled since undergoing surgery to fix a torn pectoral muscle in June. He last wrestled at the June 5th Hell in a Cell Premium Live event, defeating Seth Rollins whilst injured. It's now been indicated that Rhodes, WWE wants Rhodes to return his feud upon his return. This is something we spoke about previously, per Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer radio show. There will be, quote, more talk about Seth freaking Rollins and Cody Rhodes soon. Rhodes was written off TV on the June 6th edition of Raw, with Rollins attacking Rhodes' injured pectoral muscle with a sledgehammer. We received a positive health update on Rhodes earlier this month, with Meltzer reporting that Cody is currently working with top-level trainers to put on size and strength ahead of his in-ring return. The American Nightmare previously stated that his medical team had purposely not given him a recovery time to prevent him from pushing himself too hard to beat the projected time frame. So, as we spoke about previously, the plan is for Rollins versus Rhodes once again when he returns. How they're going to get there is interesting now that Rollins is currently working as a babyface, but I don't think it's too difficult to maneuver to that point. As I've said before, the Seth Rollins character really hasn't changed all that much. It hasn't. It's just the opponents. Bobby Lashley's a heel, so he's feuding against Bobby Lashley. But at the same time, when he was feuding with Austin Theory, he turned into a babyface because Austin Theory's a heel. They don't need to change the Rollins character. When Rhodes comes back, they'll be so happy to see Cody Rhodes that all it takes is for Seth Rollins to confront him. He'll start to get booed. That's what it will take. The Rollins character hasn't changed. Seth Rollins is still arrogant. He's still flamboyant. He still talks down to people. He's still the architect. He's still a manipulator. He's still trying to get into people's heads. That won't change irrespective of his opponent. It just so happens at the moment his opponents are bad guys. So, de facto, Rollins turns into a babyface. When Rhodes returns, Rhodes is a good guy. He's a babyface, so Rollins turns into a heel. The character remains the same. The mindset is almost chameleon-like. It's more on the opponents, less so on Rollins. So, I don't think that's too much of an issue, and it won't be too much of a confusion for fans. The feeling is, at the moment still, is that Cody Rhodes is the favorite to win the Men's Rumble, and he probably will, thinking about it. He wins the Rumble, goes on to face Roman Reigns one of the nights at WrestleMania, and possibly, look, he faces, you know, let's say Roman on night 2 for the WWE Championship, and The Rock faces Roman on night 1 for the Universal Championship, something like that. And getting into WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber, he faces Seth Rollins once again at the Elimination Chamber event. That, to me, makes the most sense. Whether that's the direction that WWE actually decides to go in, we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of Triple H, there reportedly could be a change to the call-up system in WWE. WWE Senior Vice President of Live Events Road Dogg Brian James has indicated that Triple H will be making a big change to the NXT call-up system. Under the previous regime, developmental names would often join the main roster while still factored into NXT storylines. A notable example of this happening was Karrion Kross, who made his Raw debut in a losing effort to Jeff Hardy in July of last year, but at the time, he was still the NXT champion. On his podcast, Brian James noted that the NXT creative team was given varying levels of notice for stars' call-ups. Believing that Triple H will change this system, James said, quote, "Yeah, so above all else, to be quite honest with you, because there's not a strict streamlined process, especially now that Hunter is in charge of the creative. He understands much more about giving fair warning, so you can write the person out or write the person off or however you're going to do it. It gives you time to prepare creatively for that. I like a heads up. So sometimes we got those and sometimes we didn't. I think going forward, you're always, I'm speaking now from an NXT creative experience, that we had time to prepare and send people off, but sometimes we got a, hey, we're taking this person because we got an idea for this and this, and you could be in the middle of something with them or not, and they were, and there they went. So I don't think it'll be that anymore, or anyway, because I think everyone understands, at least let me beat them on the way out, or let me do something to close the book on his character or whatever, gives us time to create something. I think that'll happen a lot now. Of course, Triple H currently oversees WWE Creative as the company's chief content officer. Shawn Michaels recently revealed that Triple H's level of involvement with the current NXT product is minimal, and Shawn Michaels is allowed to do what he wants. Now, again, that's what they hope for, and these plans are put in place, and you would have thought Triple H will know better than anyone else how frustrating it can be to just to get the call randomly, bring that person in, we need to call him up now. It's been widely reported, hasn't it, that the WWE creative process isn't as ad hoc and isn't as crazy and unprepared as it once was. So you would think that maybe there might be processes put in place, but we'll have to wait and see. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. Of course, one of the biggest stories last week was Mandy Rose's WWE departure for what WWE deemed as explicit, risky content on her exclusive members-only fan content page. With Mandy Rose's WWE release being a hot topic, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has heard from one former WWE talent who is doing more than okay with their exclusive content site. CJ Perry, the former Lana in WWE, hasn't wrestled since being released by the company, though she was booked for an ill-fated WE'S show in the UK. Remember that? But she's been primarily working on her Brand Army content site, which she branded cjperry.com. It was noted to Fightful that CJ Perry was the specific talent that they've heard about eclipsing her best WWE year financially by utilizing their brand army. It was also mentioned to Fightful that Mandy Rose is on Fan Time as opposed to Brand Army or OnlyFans, which each three having different particulars of what is permitted on the site. But certainly, once again, if you look at the numbers, and I think Mandy Rose did, she most likely was or is close to making more money than she was with WWE by making this exclusive members only website. And now with the traffic that's been driven towards this site in the last 7 days, I'm sure she'll be doing just fine, and she might have to never wrestle again if she doesn't want to. John Cena, of course, will be wrestling his first match of WWE 2022 on SmackDown in a couple of weeks' time. WWE will hold the December 30 SmackDown event from the Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida. The show will feature the in-ring return of John Cena as he teams with Kevin Owens against Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. WrestleTix noted the show has sold 8,753 tickets and there are 1,065 left. The setup is for 9,818. It was noted that 1,279 tickets moved in the 3 days since they announced Cena would be appearing. A few new upper decks were opened up in full as well. So certainly it just goes to show Cena was announced, they sold a ton of tickets. Cena wrestling as well, they're gonna sell out. They're gonna sell out. There's no doubt about it. They're gonna sell out that arena. It's a big show. It's gonna obviously feature a big match, and I think feature a big angle too. I think that that's going to be the night that the Bloodline turns on Sami Zayn. Finally, Gunther has been beyond impressive as the Intercontinental Champion, and he's about to hit an impressive milestone. Intercontinental Champion Gunther is set to hit an impressive WWE title milestone at the ahead of the end of the year. Gunther won the Intercontinental Championship on the June 10 edition of SmackDown, defeating Shinsuke Nakamura for the gold. The leader of Imperium has dominated the blue brand as champion, defending his gold against several top SmackDown stars. As of this past Sunday, yesterday, December 18, Gunther has held the Intercontinental Championship for 191 days. In 9 days time, easy for me to say, 8 days time now, the popular star will hit 200 days as Intercontinental Champion. Shortly after, Gunther will hit another major milestone. Gunther is set to become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in over a decade once he surpasses Shinsuke Nakamura's 201-day reign from 2019. After that, Gunther will have held the gold for longer than anyone in a single reign since Cody Rhodes' 234-day stint with the gold in 2011. There is a chance that Gunther, of course, will lose the gold before surpassing that milestone, with Braun Strowman now targeting the Intercontinental Champion. However, I think Gunther is going to hold the title for a long time, and he's going to be one of the longest reigning champions in history. Of course, the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in history is the Honky Tonk Man. And look, with Triple H in charge, there's a real possibility, real possibility, he could become the longest reigning champ of all time. The Honky Tonk Man's over 400 days or something like that, so we've still got plenty of time to go. But in this day and age of WWE, anything certainly is possible. But there you go, guys. That's the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.